Hello, relatives. Thank you so much for joining us today. I am Lorenzo Serna, Director of Tactical Media here at the NDN Collective. My pronouns are they, them. I'm Chicanx. And today we're going to have a conversation to break down Indian Collective's Community Action Fund. The Indian Collectives Community Action Fund provides urgent response grants of $15,000 to $30,000 to groups and individuals in the United States, Mexico, and Canada who are most impacted by local challenges, and places resources back into the hands of these critical decision makers to solve pressing challenges and address imminent threats. CAF, Community Action Fund, prioritizes frontline, grassroots, and community-based efforts to defend our people, communities, and nations against negative resource extractions that poison our people, pollute our waters, and destroy our lands, and contribute to climate change and violate our human rights. Today, you're going to be joining me, Lorenzo Serna, and also Indian Foundation Program Officers PennElys, Droz, and Kami-Rae James to explore what the Community Action Fund is, who the fund is available for, and what efforts are supported through the fund, and prior Community Action Fund recipients and their work. This discussion is also going to include a live walkthrough of the application, as well as direction on who to contact for assistance in the process. The Community Action Fund is accepting applications until 5 p.m. Central on October 31st, 2022. And to learn more about the Community Action Fund and to apply, you can visit grants.indiancollective.org and then, / Community Action Fund. Again, we're going to be bringing in our two guests. If you're like me, I've been on a lot of front lines. I've been doing a lot of this different work in different movement spaces. I've never really felt comfortable applying for grants. Thankfully, I've had conversations with these two who have made me feel more comfortable, and I'm hoping that we can have this conversation together and just kind of add a little more comfort to the process itself. And so I'm going to bring in PennElys and Kami-Rae now, and maybe we can start with Kami-Rae to have them introduce themselves.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Kami-Rae James. I am Hopi, and I am the newest program office here with the NDN Collective Foundation team, and I'm happy to be here today. Thank you.
Yeah. Anin, everybody. I'm so glad you're here with us today. My name is PennElys Droz. I'm an Anishinaabe, she, her pronouns, and calling to you from Tonatem territory in Tucson, Arizona.
All right. Well, here we go. So again, we're coming together. We're going to talk about this action fund, this grant opportunity. And I just, as I was saying kind of in the introduction, I've never really applied for grants. I've tried, I get to the application process, I freeze up, I start panicking, I start wondering what my name is, and just kind of the list goes on. And so I'm just hoping that in this conversation, we can, just get people a little more comfortable to actually go in this process and learn what to expect. And so again, if you feel like you can already apply for this, you know what to do, just go to that website we mentioned earlier. It should be in the chat as well. And just also for everyone watching, if you have questions, drop them in the chat. We're going to try to get to them at the end. And if we don't, we'll make sure to send them to the foundation team, and they're going to make themselves really available here. They're going to give you their email addresses. You can reach out to them. So, and we'll try to get those questions answered. But about the Community Action Fund, what are the types of things that are funded?
Yeah, so the Community Action Fund, it provides urgent response grants to support various efforts, some that include community organizing, amplification of community voices, and efforts that use a wide variety of strategies that are vital for shifting the political and the financial systems that impact our communities. So this can include anything from climate justice and racial equity efforts, and it can also include efforts that are challenging the extractive industry, such as oil mining and drilling. Community Action Fund also supports land back efforts that are amplifying the movement, and there are communities that are fighting for land back, and also community-based response to climate events, such as flooding, fires, and earthquakes. I also want to point out that direct expenses may include funding for travel, supplies, and staff that are supporting nonviolent direct action, such as protests, marches, camps, boycotts, or anything like that that is there to affect change. And I also want to say that these are just a small sample size of the efforts that Community Action support. So if you have any questions regarding your action, you can always feel free to reach out to one of the program officers so we can answer those questions for you.
Right on. And so I'm hearing like urgent response. And so it's basically like something, and a lot of times as people on the front lines or in communities, organizing, things are happening pretty emergent. We have to respond to them. We don't have to. First of all, like we have to take care of each other ourselves, just so everyone knows. But you know, we do. We sometimes we find we have to respond. You know, here, I remember one time they're building this like I don't know, like our indigenous communities get drawn into have to like protest these events that the colonizers are putting on sometimes because if we don't, nobody's going to do it, and they're going to think it's just all right. It's just kind of how it goes. And so I hear urgent response. I think of like Indian Collective, there was the action at Mount Rushmore where the then president of the United States was coming without permission for the Shisakoi or from out the original stewards of the land, didn't give permission for this person to visit, and people organized really quickly. I remember like there was all these groups that came together to organize in that moment, and so like some of those groups in that time, like seeing that coming, they may have been able to apply for this grant.
Yes, that's correct. That'd be a perfect strategy and effort that Community Action Fund would be able to support.
You know. And then that's also like because like I think about like you're saying like climate response to climate events such as flooding, fires. Right now in California, there's like a massive heat wave about to hit. You know, I know our relatives organized to support our elders. They're taking water to people. They're taking during winter. They're taking wood to folks. You know, and always trying to support the communities. They're on the front lines. Like that's the front line, trying to take care of ourselves, taking care of each other. And so is that like so this you're seeing this need coming. You feel like you have an organization or a group of people who can organize something to affect change in that moment or create support. Is that kind of what you mean by these kind of responses?
Yes. Yes.
And NVDA, nonviolent direct action. So I forget throw march. Yeah. And I think I was just like I always think about we always ended up having to protest like the fossil fuel company is sending some representative to our lands. They're like, "What's up? We want to buy up your land and destroy it. Is that cool?" And everyone's like, "No, it actually is not cool." You know, and we have to like organize these responses to be like, "No, that's not all right." These folks, you know, so it's stuff like that as well. You know. Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
So
Rad.
come on and apply.
Yeah. Go get it. You know, y'all. And then I thought another thing that might be helpful too, again, like just trying to provide for folks out there who just like don't know this might fit them. Is there like specific groups that have been funded, and like what is some of the work they've done? I mean, we don't have to say their names or anything, but just like what is work that has been funded, and what does that look like?
Yeah, so the Community Action Fund has provided support for various efforts so far. So one of them is was to a nonprofit organization who is who is creating a series of workshops to defend their land, their culture, and their territory. And they're also working to stop the destruction of their salt fields by a mining company. So that's one example. And then we also funded another organization who is bringing a delegation together for a land back action and to also return ancestral remains. And then also we've supported an individual too. So this individual is organizing a 2-day Indigenous Rights Forum in order to provide their community with knowledge and empowerment in order to amplify the voices against racism, classism, and lack of water that's happening within their community. So those are just, 3 examples of organizations and individuals, and then the work that they're doing that the fund has supported.
And this might actually be a good opportunity to share a little bit more. Our this community action fund is urgent response, but not rapid response. And so our foundation, we have to stay legal. We have to, keep ourselves good in the books, which means that we can't turn around rapid response. We can turn around urgent response. Kami-Rae, before I continue, what's the time frame between application and granting again?
It's a 3-week time frame. So when you submit your application, our NDN Foundation staff will review it and then expect a response in that time.
Absolutely. So what we wanted to share too is if you have a rapid response need, feel free to reach out to our Indian Action team. They may be able to support you with supplies or, some of those urgent items that you need. But if you're looking or rapid response items that you may need, supplies for your frontline, possibly. So this fund is not for rapid response, kicking you out something in a week and getting it to your front line. This is more for a planned action, within about a month period of time.
Right on. Yeah, yeah. I think that's good to know. I know that's always those questions like when is this time frame going to be, or how long will this take? And we're going to walk through the app process a little bit too, and kind of get some clarity on that. So we're just like, bear with us, everybody. Thanks for being here again. If you want to let us know where you're watching from in the chat and stuff like that, just please let us know and say hi to each other. Like we're all hanging out. I love it. Um, so I just like listening to like to Kami-Rae, you're saying that like somebody's organizing a series of workshops just so like people can get like, I mean, I don't know, like just to learn more about this event that's about to happen or something. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so they're organizing the workshops in order to provide their community with um, yes, with the response, and then also to provide them with knowledge of what's
Yeah,
happening within the
that's awesome.
community so that they can get everyone involved
That makes
and
me
be
all
able to
excited.
make that
Sorry,
change.
that's amazing. That's great. I mean, I didn't even think about that, but that's totally like so necessary to equip our people with like the information to be able to act from, you know. So I just like to see people out there doing that work and then getting resources to be able to do it. Like, wow. I don't know. That makes me feel good. Just so you know,
Yes.
I feel good. Um, so the next part of this little like conversation is I wanted to actually walk people through the Indian Collective website, the grants website. So we're gonna bring that onto the screen right now. This is where the grant lives. The website is grants.indiancollective.org. That should be in the chat. Should be dropped in there. Community Action Fund. We'll thread it too on Twitter and on Facebook and YouTube. We'll make sure it's in there. If you go there, you can just apply right away. But we're gonna go through the application process because me again, uncertain, uneasy. I need all the help I can get. Thank you for joining me to help me. I'm not applying for it. We're gonna pretend I am. So at the top, is it at the top? Yeah. So we have the application here. There's also Spanish and French, right? Translations of this page. Yeah. So if you're, hablas español, también hay aquí, and then francés, which I can't speak as well at all. So anyways, application here. I'm going to click it. We're going to go here together. Let's go. So this is the first thing you're going to get to if you're going to be applying for this grant. It's an eligibility quiz. I'm going to read the first little section of it, and then I'm just going to hit yes to all of them so we can get to the next one and answer some questions around like legal and tax ID stuff, which again are things that have always stopped me. And so I'm excited that we can kind of illuminate a little bit. So we have this first question. It is, I have to look over here. I'm sorry. Indian Collective's commitment to a new and better normal is part of a long-term community resilience and sustainability model. Indian strategies to defend, develop, and decolonize provide opportunities for more innovative and sustainable solutions led by a collective of indigenous peoples, communities, and nations. We believe this approach is necessary for justice and equity of all people on the planet. I would just love to talk about that forever, but we're talking specifically about this grant. Does your organization or tribe's mission and community work align with this mission? And I'm like, yeah, it does. And I hit yes. So if you feel like you read through these, you feel like they all kind of match you, you can hit yes. If they don't, there's other grant opportunities. Definitely take a look that exist. And I'm going to hit submit. Where does this take me? Let's find out together. Submit. Boom. Another page. Here it is. It's everyone. This is what it's like. I know. But I think, again, it's super important. So again, here's some more information. We have the program officer Kami-Rae's email right here. If you want to reach out to them, it's just waiting for you. We have a Spanish speaking as well. Nicole there. Somebody speaks French. We have a PennElys there. So if you want to reach out, if you just want, support on this portal we're about to go into, boom, right there, supported. Okay, so we're on this application. We just did the eligibility quiz. I'm in my experience, I'm freezing up now. I'm like, oh, what does this all mean? So right here we have like name of applicant, organization, and tribe. Like kind of like what would that be? And then also, can individuals apply?
Oh, sorry. I'll jump in here. Yeah, so this is where if you're affiliated with an organization, if you work for, you're partnered up with an organization, this is where you put the organization name. If you are applying for this grant as your tribe, like as a tribal representative or as a tribe, this is where you put the name of your nation. But you can also apply as an individual. So if you're applying as an individual, this is where you put your name. I do want to explain a little bit about the whole fiscal agent and tax status stuff here real quick. some of you might know this, but some of you might not. If you are not affiliated with an organization like a 501c3, which is your standard U.S. Nonprofit organization delegation, you can. That's the easiest way to turn around this money in a good way, where nobody's going to have to be paying taxes on it. If you do not have access to that, you can actually get a fiscal sponsor. You can build a relationship with a fiscal sponsor who would basically a 501c3 who would accept the money for you legally, so you would not be liable for taxes on that money, and turn it around to the project or the work. So if you do have a fiscal sponsor, this is where you would put their name on that A bullet point there. Under tax status, your tax status, you could be a 501c3. If you do have a fiscal sponsor, you would still put 501c3. If you're applying as an individual, your tax identification number is your social security number, or if you're in Canada, your TIN. That indicates your social security number, your TIN is your tax status number, according to your, whatever colonial nation state is occupying your territory right now. And we do have to have those numbers in order to be able to turn around funds legally. One thing that's also important to say is there are reasons why, when you're organizing an action, it might make sense for you to apply as an individual. Maybe your tribe doesn't support the work that you're doing. Maybe who knows? Maybe it's a little complicated to build relationships with a nonprofit organization right now. There's a lot of legitimate reasons why you might want to apply as an individual. It's just really important to know that if you do make that choice, that the grant funding that you will receive, you are liable for taxes on that money. And so before you spend the money, we encourage you to reach out to a tax advisor, or somebody that knows how to guide you, so that you don't find yourself in a situation during tax time. So that's that. Thank you.
Right on. Thank you. And yeah, and like that tax ID stuff is like, it is in my experience been pretty, for me, confusing. Other people, I mean, different feelings, but I think we're talking, and during one campaign I was part of, we had like a individual who was taking donations for us to buy food for the people who are showing up, and then that donation fund got really big really fast, unexpectedly. Like at first there was like a few $100 and we're buying like peanut butter and bread, and we're like, we can feed the people, we're doing it, and then like there's peanut butter allergy. Yeah, it got real complicated. We can get in the weeds, but I'm not gonna. And then it just grew really fast, and that person was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get they think I've made all this money, they're gonna tax me, we gotta like get this into like some sort of better fund, so I think, yeah, definitely look into that. And that's the reason for that. These colonial governments are watching, and they're gonna get their comeuppance, if you will. Okay, let me make sure I don't know if there's any other questions there. Oh, okay, so yeah, my other question then is, so when I get to the end here, I hit submit. I filled this out. There's all these questions. I hit submit request. Boop. Of course, it says I can't go forward. What happens next? Once I filled this out and I feel like good about it, what happens when I hit that submit request?
So after you submit, you should receive an automated email within I would say about 2 to 3 days. And the automated email will be from our Flux grant making system. And this will include a username, a password, and a hyperlink within the email. So you want to click on the hyperlink in order to create a password, because after you create your password, you're creating a profile for the Flux system, and you need the profile and the login information, because when you log into the grant system, that's where you'll access the application to be able to submit it. But then I also want to say, if a few days have passed and you have not received that automated email, you want to check your spam folder, because a lot of times it will hit that, in your email. And if it's still not there, just please reach out to one of us so that we can get your profile created, so that we can get you, applying immediately.
All right, I can bring it back. So this process here, then, like we get the eligibility quiz, we fill out this questionnaire. This is just to make a profile on the Flux system, and that's actually where we get the application. Do we have like once we make this profile, do we instantly have access to that application, or?
Oh yes. So once you get that that email and you click the hyperlink and create your password, you're logged into the system, and then that's where you'll see the application there. You'll see it in the it's like it'll be a little button that you click on, and then it'll come up.
Right on. And I'm just kind of curious. So now, okay, so we've gone through this. We made a portal profile. So y'all making profiles out there. You're on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. You made a profile before. We kind of know what's going down. We're in this Flux profile place. That we're filling out the application. I'm kind of curious, like how many questions are on the application, and if you can give like an example of a few of them.
Yeah, so there's about eight. It's a fairly short application. There's about 8 questions. So we're just going to ask for your organizational information. We're going to ask for your action information. So this includes the title of your action, location, the amount that you're requesting, and then also the dates of your action. We would also have a space to include the name of your decision makers, but also if your decision makers need to remain anonymous, you can just describe the role. So you don't have to necessarily put their name, just, for those anonymous reasons. And then we would like you to briefly describe the action and then also the results that you hope to see with this action. And then also you just need to provide enough detail that is safe and appropriate enough to share. And then also we want to ensure that you provide your community partners and supporters, and then also your community harmony and safety protocols. So we just want to know the protocols that you have in place to address the COVID-19 pandemic and also to keep community members safe from physical and sexual abuse. And then finally, we just want a brief description of your project budget. So just include, what you're requesting funding for and the amounts. And then also for the attachments, we want your tax ID information, and then just any attachments that you feel, relates to the action that you're applying for.
And I guess like the answers, they have to be this, I think like they have to be like essays or like, perfectly bulleted or,
Yeah, not at all. Not at all. Just to share, and I actually want to get this word out to our communities. All of NDN Foundation's grants, we are not worried, no matter what grant you're applying for, we are not worried about your ability to write with perfect grammar or sound some kind of way. Like you can just tell us what you're doing. Let us know what you're up to. With this one, we don't need essays, we don't need bullet points. We just want to know what you're doing. And so, whatever writing style you're comfortable with to get the content across is great with us. Additionally, like your budget, sometimes people hear budget and they're like, does it have to look a certain way? It can be in a document. You can be like, we need food, this much money. We need, whatever you need. Just, it doesn't have to be a spreadsheet. You can literally just let us know what you need to buy and what you want to spend it on, and who you need to support with these funds. If you do have any questions, or if you do feel a little bit unsure as you're writing, please definitely reach out to us at the foundation. We'd be happy to just troubleshoot your process with you and support your app.
Cool. I was like they're like challenge. I'm like, oh, these questions feel challenging, but there's things that people should think about. Like most like the results. Like like we're making you're making an action, and there's something you do want on the other end, or be it visibility or like the right message to be like what is that thing, and definitely mentioning that. And also I really appreciate the trying to create a safer space, and then acknowledging that funds should be used for that, and thought should be put into that, be it community agreements, that they're going to be displayed in the spaces people are going to be going into, that will be conversed about maybe, like before, the action. I mean, if there's like a meeting or, people are going to be together somewhere, like how what are our agreements and protocols of how we're going to treat each other, you know. These are really important things. So I appreciate that that's on there, and that it's something that we want people to think about. And then COVID-19 as well, like it's important our immunocompromised relatives feel safe and invited into these spaces, and knowing that this is an ongoing pandemic, and also like just in general, like there's to think about these things that we have to create these spaces there that people can come to, and a lot of people need support in that. And then when we're thinking about it, it helps our relatives be able to show up and participate in the world they want to be part of and help create it. So really thankful that's there. I just wanted to like say it, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and then again, so the 3-week time frame you mentioned is after, we make the eligibility quiz, we submit the thing, we make our profile on the Flux, and then there we fill out this application. And when we hit submit on that application is when that 3-week time frame sort of begins. Okay. Ooh,
Yes.
I
So
love
once
clarity.
we receive that information, we'll review it.
Wonderful. Yeah. I was like clarity. I know I'm just repeating everything, but I was like, I'm like, sure, and make sure that people have an idea. And like I said, like I've always had such a hard time with this stuff. And so just really thankful to do this with you all. So again, let's see here. I do have these questions. I actually printed the questions too, in case you're wondering. Like this, I didn't use it. I thought this would make it really official if I had the paper up. So I think so we have. Other than help that's available is like, I showed the email contact information there, but what kind of help is available? Is it just like, oh, like here's the link, or is like here's the email, or like, I mean, it's kind of what is that help like?
No, so once you submit your application or you're thinking about submitting your application, if you need help, technical help, we have our team that can support you with that. Or if you just have questions or you want to know if maybe your action is something that, we can, or that fits along the line with Community Action Fund, we're also there to help. So we're there to help you throughout from beginning to the end of the process, of the application process.
Right on.
Yeah. And just to also say, I mean, when we try to ask you the minimum of what we need to know in order to be able to move funds. We also try to ask you questions that again, like Lorenzo was saying, that you'll have thought about already. Sometimes like applications, when you fill them out, we try to craft them so that by filling out the application, you're also clarifying to yourself what is your action, what is your role, what is your intent, what is your purpose, how are we going to use these funds. So it really, we try to make the application process be what we need, but also what not only have you already thought about already, you already got the plan, but helpful in that it's clarifying for yourself as well. So we're not trying to waste people's time.
Got you. Oh yeah, that's great. I think again, just like being able to like taking that moment, a lot of times I think we had talked about like when we're in frontline situations or sort of like engaged in creating change, I always say like that's what the frontline is like you're literally like on the edge, moving to possibilities, if you will. And we're really busy and we're moving so fast that sometimes we don't take that time to really like kind of like think about stuff. And I appreciate, even though it's, this seems like really brief, but it does create this moment of like, hey, reflection and thought. And that's so important to what we're doing as well. And so I understand that. And I think that's really well thought out. Thank you. So we're about to close this out. This is the whole live, real quick, real fast. If you do have questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat. I'll try to get to them. I see, we have like Ruby watching, Jill, thank you. It's urgent response. Charlene Spears is on here, and Valdu, thanks for watching from Mexico, Oaxaca.
Yeah.
So you have questions, try to drop them in there. I'll try to get to them. And again, we'll send them to the foundation team. So my final question is like, what is the history of this grant? Like how did this grant come to be, and why do you feel it's important?
Yeah, no, this is absolutely critical. This is a really, really important grant. It's one of our favorites to review, and we get excited whenever we get new applications. NDN Collective was born in the spirit of direct action. All of our founders are, our initial organizers, all have a deep history in direct action and watching, not only knowing what it's like to be on front lines, and know how difficult it is to resource front lines, um, and what it's like to operate in the flow of these absolutely critical spaces. But we also, NDN Collective as a whole deeply, deeply values the power and the role, um, and honor the work of frontline organizers. Like you were saying, Lorenzo, like someone has to push that line. Someone's got to push that line. That's what's gonna keep us going to, moving in the direction of the world we want to live in, the world we want to see for our children and our grandchildren and our great grandchildren. We need to resource those front lines. And so this was the way what we were able to create, to offer relatively significant resources, in a legal way and in a helpful way, to our frontline workers. So.
Ray, did you have anything?
And then for me, yeah, so I just feel like it's important to support, our Indigenous power and decision making through the Community Action Fund grant, just because oftentimes resources are very limited or non-existent, and I guess what we say traditional grant making. So we need to support the powerful and amazing work that like the frontline grassroots organizers are doing if we want to continue to create change, and then also to shift the colonial systems. So
Right on. Yeah, and then again, this isn't, it's an urgent response. It isn't for like a year operational funds. There's other grants for that people can go check out. I know that a lot of times I know that when I had a nonprofit, I was like operational funds. This is not for that, but it's just like, a thing that's upcoming that you can plan around. And yeah, the community and people in the community, I'm just trying to empower them to be able to do the work they're already doing, because they're the ones that know what changes need to happen. So I just really appreciate all of this. We have one question from Steph here. They're just kind of wondering, Foundation team, I have a question. Do you have any recommendations for grant writing resources for our people?
Yeah. Steph, we're actually like sort of preparing some internal stuff. Steph, if you want to reach out, at PennElys, PENNELYS at ndncollective.org, I can send you some links.
There you go. You can just reach out to folks. They'll help out. They'll send you some resources. I think that's the only question we had. I think that's the conversation. I'm really thankful. Thank you so much for everything and for walking me through and dealing with my hand movements. Sometimes I'm like, whoa, we're moving. But yeah, so thank you so much, Kami-Rae and PennElys. And yeah, if you have any last words, I guess, and then we'll call it.
no last words. I apologize for my lighting. I had a dog anxiety. He ripped the light down. So I apologize. It just got dark all of a sudden. So I just want to acknowledge that. So thank you.
But I noticed too. I was like, "What happened?" No, that makes sense. Of course, sometimes I was waiting for my cat to walk in any moment. I'm like, the cat's gonna walk in, and then we're gonna listen to the cat yelling. So.
Yeah, it's dogs or
I was
kids.
just trying to keep it straight, Yeah, trying to keep a straight face.
We're so excited. We want to see your applications. It's so exciting. It's a real honor for us to be able to learn how we can support you. So I just encourage everybody to, reach out if you have a need, if you have a vision, if you have an action. Apply. If you feel weird about applying, give Kami-Rae or me or Nicole or give our team a call. And yeah. Let's get it in before October 31, right, Kami-Rae?
Yes.
October 31? Yeah, okay.
Right on.
Right on.
All right, cool. Thank you so much. I'm going to close this out here, and we'll call it a day. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much, PennElys and Kami-Rae, for this informative conversation. And I hope you got some stuff out of it about the Community Action Fund, a phenomenal grant opportunity available to folks in the US, Mexico, and Canada. All the links are in the chat right now. They'll be there for eternity, where we are able to, to get into what the fund is and, who is available for and how to fill out the application, which, by the way, everyone is due by October 31st, 2022, 5 p.m. CST Central Time. I know. Before we close out, if you'd like to know more about the Community Action Fund and all the wonderful grant opportunities Indian Collective has, check out the grants and fellowship page at indiancollective.org. Again, that's indiancollective.org. We'll drop the links to those pages in the chat. They are there right now. Also, we invite you to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube for updates on all our efforts in the areas of racial equity, education equity, climate justice, land back, building indigenous power, and more. And be sure to sign up for our monthly Indian Collective newsletter, where all those updates and more can come straight to your inbox. Thanks for joining us, relatives. Until next time, take care.